Two things are going to come out of this podcast. One, we're going to be canceled, and two, we're probably going to get divorced from our wives.
So fucking inappropriate. So fucking inappropriate.
It's like crying, just jerking into an empty hole. What the fuck? Jerking into an empty hole. Jerking into an empty hole.
So fucking inappropriate.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time again for that top 10 list you don't give a fuck about by two guys you really don't give a fuck about.
All right, on this episode, we are going to cover the top 10 conspiracies. This one was suggested by one of our listeners, Lauren, so shout out, Lauren. It's a little bit more difficult because we had to do some research, I guess you could say.
Well, yeah, considering I really don't do a lot with conspiracy theories. I mean, like, I listen to them, but I don't pay attention to them. Everything is a conspiracy theory, man. Like, anything you can think of is probably a conspiracy theory. It's just, I don't know. I've got probably some of the shit people are going to be going, oh yeah, everyone knows about that. But, you know, everything you can imagine is a conspiracy theory at this point. Like, come on.
Well, before we get started, I think the biggest conspiracy is the conspiracy to hide or bury other conspiracies. And I say that because in doing the research for these, you type in, I'll just give away one of mine, flat earth. You type in flat earth theory. The first 10, 15, 20 listings are all predominantly saying flat earth theory is fake. None of it is giving any of the side of what people who believe flat theory is. It's just all giving all of the facts to prove it wrong. And that's for every conspiracy that I researched. I didn't have time to like continue looking because I'm sure the stuff's down there deep, buried somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I think it's all being, because every one of mine on this list, I couldn't find information because it was just buried. And I don't.
I mean, yeah, in a Google search, you're going to find a lot of theories that are more debunking what people say versus actually explaining what they are. YouTube will just explain to you everything it is. And, you know, there's a few people on YouTube that do 9-10 hour long freaking videos on this. And it's just, I mean, it's fascinating for me for about the first 3.5 hours. Then I'm just like turning off, like my brain is not processing anymore. Lizard people, or the fact that, you know, our sewer system is nothing but for the government to take biosamples from everyone in the country. I mean, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like everything from the government playing in our shit to people not even being, you know, hybrid animals. And I mean, it's like, who sits around and worries this much? Like, I think everyone, I think there's valid worries, like, and I think there's you know, there's valid questions. You know, what happens after you die? Is that just it? You just like you go to sleep. You don't really remember the times you're asleep. You just kind of might remember a dream in it, but really, I mean, you know, think about a surgery. You go out, you just wake back up. You have no recollection of in between, you know? So, I mean, I get like theories and questions about that, but really we've devolved to alligator people that live in like tunnels and sewers and shit. Like, I mean, I'm down for a good myth. And what's the difference between a myth and a conspiracy theory? You know, like, because you have like the creature myths, you know, New Jersey Devil and like the Bigfoots, and you know, is that a myth or is that a conspiracy theory? You know,
that brings me to another point that I wanted to make before we get into our lists. I am one that heavily believes that anything can be real. Doesn't mean that I believe in any of this stuff that I'm about to talk about. Neither are you. You're just giving top 10 conspiracies that either you find fascinating, or whatever it may be.
Oh, these are all the ones that I actually, over the course of my study, I looked into a little deeper, and I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of good. I want to look at this a little bit. Some of them I knew, some of them I actually found.
So none of these are going to be things that we actually believe. We're just put them in the top 10 list for our listener who requested it, and But back to what I was saying.
So yes, I guess this would be considered fan service or something.
Yeah, kind of. But my
not only fan service, just fan service.
My belief in everything, and I don't want to get into religion or anything, but I got to kind of. I believe in a God, but I don't believe in the Bible. I know, I'm weird. I think the Bible is a book of stories. I believe in a God because I feel like there has to be something. But I don't have proof of God. So I'm not saying that God exists. I'm just saying I believe that. So the same thing with all these conspiracy theories. I don't trust anyone. Like, you're my boy, but I only 99% trust you. You say something to me, there's still 1% doubt in my mind. I love my wife. 99% of what she says, I believe, but 1%, it could be false. So that's how I view everything in the world. Right. Therefore, vampires, I fucking love vampires. So why not? Maybe there is a 1% chance vampires are real. Flat Earth, I've never been to fucking outer space. Have you? I've seen photos that they post online, and I see all these scientists saying this is why it's not true or whatever. But I'm not a scientist. I don't know this stuff. I've never actually been in outer space. I can't see the Earth. Like, again, I don't believe anybody. So maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. I don't know. But that's how I went about this list.
I mean, out of all that, I'm impressed. I have 99% trust. I mean, I'm like I have thrown a fair amount of bullshit in every direction. I got 99%. I don't even know. That was my takeaway from your whole spiel. And that, and the fact that that's how you're going to look at religion. Every religious document would just be a collection of stories for you. Because, like, even if you're going to look at things like the Quran or, the Bible, even the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch, it's all technically a collection of stories.
Right.
Almost, in my opinion, like Aesop's fables and things like that. They all have a moral. They all have a story. I think the biggest thing with religion and God is every culture has its own God. And for all we know, we're all talking about the same person. And more or less, most of the stories in these manuscripts are do good to other people, be a better person,
Right.
And I always tell people when it comes to religion, it's more about did you get the message, not necessarily who delivered the message.
Agree. 100% agree.
So, but just like religion, you have people who take it with a grain of salt, and you have people who go batshit crazy. Kind of just like with conspiracy theories.
And we're about to do that. So take all this with a grain of salt because this is about to get batshit crazy.
We're delving into the batshit crazy side of conspiracy theories. Possibly.
You want to start with your number 10? Oh, other thing real quick. I did a little bit more research. I have a little bit more to say than Matthew does. So I might actually talk more on this one, but we'll see. So do you want to start or you want me to?
Sure, let's start. Number 10, let's pick on the royal family for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
This goes back to Prince Charles, which I guess is now King Charles. But the conspiracy theory is that he's a vampire. If you actually trace his lineage back, it is tied back to Vlad the Impaler, which we all know Vlad the Impaler is where we have the origin story of Dracula, which, Dracula is thousands of years old. Vlad the Impaler goes back, 1,200 years? I'm not really sure how we put that into play. But he also had a medical condition at one point that made him very sensitive to sunlight. So therefore, here you have conspiracy theory starting, and unfortunately he's not the only member of the royal family that has them surrounding themselves.
I was not aware of that, and I am a big Dracula fan. I love Dracula the vampires, as I said earlier. This is not on my list, but another conspiracy is that this library doesn't want us to record a successful podcast because our previous 2 podcasts that we recorded, the audio is off. Matthew kind of sound far, so I apologize for that. Why am I looking at the computer like you're looking at me? I don't know. Anyways, today we have new mics. My lovely wife found these awesome DJI mics, lavalier actually. So Matthew has one, I have one. Hopefully it's recording well. But it's probably also picking up the fucking children that are running around next door in a fucking party of some sort. Why? We're in a library.
I didn't even know you could have a birthday party at a library. I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, apparently it is.
I got out of my car and there's people carrying balloons and there's 18 children. I'm like, what the fuck? Is there a party? Really? You can have a birthday party at the library? I'm like, that's okay. Don't spill your Capri Sun on the books, kid. Anyway.
Well, if you hear running around and children yelling, we do apologize. We have no control over that.
It is the future of our nation, people, and it looks bleak.
But moving on, my number 10. Oh, that's also, sorry, I keep changing things up here, but mine are in no particular order. I literally just have 10 listed, and so when I get to
so
them,
I put this in a list for no reason.
it's top 10, but I wouldn't say that this is my favorite or my least favorite or anything like that. But okay, so 10 on my list is the Bohemian Grove, and I have / Secret Society. So if you're familiar with Bohemian Grove, it's a restricted area. This is me reading, guys. 2,700 acre campground in Monte Rio, California. And every July for 2 weeks plus, the most prominent men in the world gather and stay there. Motherfuckers camping. Yeah, sure. I don't believe that, but whatever.
Yeah, no, ain't none of them camping. There's a resort there with amenities.
Exactly. But the Bohemian Club's all-male membership includes artists, musicians, as well as many prominent business leaders, government officials, former U.S. presidents, senior media executives, and people of power. So it's a bunch of fucking big swinging dicks go in there, swinging their dicks around, supposedly all male, but I'm sure there are some
So
women snuck in the back door.
is it the new Epstein Island or it's a massive Diddy party? I'm not sure.
First of all, it's not new. It's been around for decades.
So maybe the Epstein Island was to throw off the
It
Bohemian.
might, yes.
Sorry, I want to say Bohemian Rhapsody, not Bohemian Grove.
I know, me too. But the most famous thing that it's actually probably known for is the planning of the Manhattan Project. Was actually done on the grounds of Bohemian Grove.
The plans of the nuclear bomb.
Exactly. But knock, knock, knock. Yeah, this is going to be a successful podcast today. Oh. Okay. Sorry, guys. Anyways, so yeah, that's Bohemian Grove, and conspirators believe that Bohemian Grove and its 2-week encampment is for secret society meetings and also satanic rituals. There has been movies made about it. There has been footage released supposedly of the satanic cremation ceremony that they have, and yeah, so it's
Who died?
Apparently, they sacrifice somebody every year.
Oh, wow.
Again, none of this is conspiracy, so none of this has actual proof of any sort, but it is believed by many, and it goes into the secret society thing.
It's like Survivor, the home game. All right.
So yeah, that was my number 10, the Bohemian Grove / secret societies, and secret societies will reoccur on my list.
So I'm guessing we're going to jump into the Illuminati and all these others.
They're probably there at that thing as well. So.
All right, so my number 9 at this point is that apparently it is believed, I'm not going to say widely believed, but it is believed that the Nazis still have an underground base in Antarctica.
I'm glad to hear you say this.
And apparently that's where the actual UFOs and alien artifacts are being held. And they're actually looking at, which this will tie into a different conspiracy theory farther up my list. But they're actually revamping and remaking weapons to revive the Third Reich.
Oh wow, that part I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not sure where they're recruiting, because I'm pretty sure the original Nazis that would have hid there is probably gone.
yeah.
Unless they're just took women in and they're creating their own colony over time, but that would be an inbred mess.
Maybe they also discovered the Fountain of Youth down there.
Dear Lord, I mean, why not? Why not at this point? But yeah, it's so apparently that buried deep under a glacier, whatever is up there in Antarctica, is a Nazi base where they are hiding out. They have alien technology. Apparently, you just need to be a weird Nazi to get aliens to talk to you or come down and give you technology. I always said that the most valid proof that aliens exist is that none of them tried to contact us yet. They just look at our whole planet and go, yep, nope, that's just a fucking train wreck. Not even going to attempt that. The most valid proof, in my opinion, is that they have not tried to contact us on a wide scale yet. So, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. There's a whole bunch of different, and that whole conspiracy theory kind of has a main thread, which is basically the Nazis are there and they're researching and they're still active. But it tentacles off in so many different directions, tying into so many different other conspiracy theories. It's almost like a hub for all this other theory-based. I'm not even gonna say theory-based.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Well,
We are having a great podcast.
That's
today.
great. Apparently Siri's gonna get involved on this shit. I don't even know how. Oh, I must have triggered that on my watch. So,
Oh my gosh.
hey, you know what? If you can't roll with it, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you.
That's what this podcast is all
and
about.
we're not
Let's
even
go.
high. I kind of feel like we should either be drunk or high on this one with everything at this point. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking Siri threw my whole train of thought out.
Your
on that one,
tentacles
so I'm done.
of conspiracies.
Yeah, it just seems to branch out into so many others, and it's just after a while you're not even sure where the main thread of that one like lies. But I think that can honestly be with any conspiracy theory.
I'm glad. Two things. One, I'm glad you brought that specific one up because I have something on my list that ties into that. Which brings me to the second thing that I'm glad you said was how they all tie in. They all do seem to tie in. Like almost everyone on my list somehow branches off or connects to the other one in a roundabout way. So again, maybe that's the biggest conspiracy is it's all one big conspiracy. But so this is why I'm glad I didn't put mine in a specific order because I'm just going to hop up my list to feed off of what you just talked about. So there is a theory called Hollow Earth theory. And it's basically, well, it's Hollow Earth theory, but then somewhat about that is a place called Argatha. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's a legendary kingdom that is said to be located on the inner surface of the Earth. It is believed that inside the Earth, it is a flipped gravitational pull, and there is an entire world operating underneath us. So that's kind of what's going on. And Argatha is basically a lost city from years ago, or more than just years, but you know what I mean. Furthermore with that, there was an admiral named Admiral Byrd that was sent to Antarctica shortly after World War II for Operation High Jump. Have you ever heard of Operation High Jump?
Not super familiar with what it is.
Okay.
I've heard the term.
Well, it was in efforts to find whatever the Nazis were looking for in Antarctica.
Oh well, secret base apparently.
When he returned, he was placed in isolation for a period of time and told not to talk to anyone about what he found. He was then given the Medal of Honor and told to leave. This ties in what Nazis believed to be searching for, which was Argatha. So underground bases, Antarctica, Nazis, this century-old underground dwelling known as Argatha.
We have a city in the middle of the earth called Argatha. Apparently there's one buried somewhere under the sea called Atlantis.
Lots of underground cities. But it is really odd though that
Elon Musk is selling tickets to Mars. So I mean,
it's really
I think there's a lot of people just want off planet Earth.
it is really interesting that this admiral was sent to Antarctica, came back, and was given the Medal of Honor, and then nothing was ever heard from him again. Just poof.
Well,
That's what our military does. I know.
not that I don't think
does.
that our government hasn't made people disappear, but it seems very highly unlikely that if he found something of that importance, they would give him a Medal of Honor and just tell him to go home. I mean, it just doesn't seem plausible in that aspect. But all right, so going down to the next one. This one ties into kind of what we were talking about in the top 10 movie list. And that is that after the movie The Matrix came out, the amount of conspiracy theories that we are actually in the Matrix and the movie was a mass design by everyone that has gotten out of the Matrix to wake people up. It was, I remember this theory. Like, I remember how many people were actually, that I knew that were actually seriously considering this. As far as like, man, what if it is? How would you know? How would you not know? Like, okay, first of all, I don't have a cat that glitches and walks in front of me twice. I mean, like second of all, like, yeah, and I say that because it was those deja vu moments in the movie, right? Where
I just saw that cat walk across there twice, you know, and it's like, yeah, there's a glitch. I mean, something's happening. Something's getting ready to go wrong, so to speak. And it's just like, you know, how would you not know if you weren't? I was like, then why are we talking about it, man? Like, you know, if I am plugged into a machine somewhere in a fucking vat of goo, I would rather be here thinking I'm here, you know, than sitting in a vat of goo, because I have no idea if there's going to be a ship when I'm done sliding down naked the vat of goo freaking drainage system that's going to be there to pick me up. It surprised me how readily some people were just like, yeah, this has got to be real. And I'm like, as society, are we really to a point that our daily struggles and worries are so minuscule that this is like a legit concern, right? I don't know. Like I said, this is how I view 90% of this list. Is like, wow, like some of these people need a hobby, and not a hobby of thinking up dumb shit like this, you know?
It goes back to me. I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying it's absolutely not true, but I'm not saying it is either.
Look, I'll revamp that theory if the door opens up and all we hear is Mr. Anderson. Oh, it's Agent Smith.
I think that brings us to the first Marry, Fuck, Kill. I have no idea what Marry, Fuck, Kill to go off of conspiracy, so I'm just going to throw out 3 random people, and by random I mean presidents. So we've got George W. Bush, we've got his father, George Bush, and we've got my personal favorite president of all time, Bill Clinton.
Oh, for fuck's sake. So both Bushes and a Clinton.
That's right. About the kind of Bush you want.
Well, we all know Clinton likes a good Bush. Only he can still deny. Damn, dude, that sucks. There's nothing. You got. Jesus Christ. I'm going to kill Junior, because he could barely formulate a sentence. He wasn't as bad as Biden, but the man, as much opportunity and wealth as that whole family had, he could not articulate a sentence. Like, oh God, the weapons of mass destruction and shit. Jesus Christ. I guess I'll marry Senior, because at one time I thought Laura Bush was kind of, no, Laura was Junior's wife, wasn't it? Yeah, I'll marry Senior. He's got that oil money.
Who's Barbara then? Was Barbara?
Barbara was Senior's wife.
Okay.
Yeah. Laura was Junior's. And I guess I'm just going to have to go for the night with Bill at that point. But, you know, it'd just be on the... See, that's weird, because he liked them big girls, and I'm not exactly a small guy, so I'd be afraid I may not make it out of there alive, but...
All right. Well, I really dropped this so they can segue me into my next my next
Great.
conspiracy. But I am going to do this in reverse, actually. So I'm going to marry Senior because, first of all, let me clear this up. Fuck all the Bushes. All right. I'm not going to go politics.
You said you didn't like Bushes.
But I don't like Bushes. I don't like Bush. I don't like Harry Bushes, and I don't like the George Bushes. So fuck all the Bushes. Anyways, I'm gonna marry Senior because his family apparently can get away with murder. So if I'm married into that, then I'm good to fucking go.
Like the Clintons don't?
Simmer down. Clinton, best president there's ever been. He, after I just said I'm not going to get into politics, he probably has the same sex drive as me. So me and him are going to fool around a little bit. And then I'm going to kill George W. Bush because he's the worst president we've ever had. And he is responsible for my next conspiracy, which is 9/11. I am fully behind this one right here, that the government was involved in 9/11. Was George Bush actually involved? Probably no. Probably not. He's too stupid to realize it. So, but still, I think our government was involved. I don't know, like, certain specifics of what happened as far as what they would be involved in. But I think they knew. I think it was a ploy to get us back into war with Iraq. to find the weapons of mass destruction. I fully believe all that shit. And it was a terrorist attack by our own government on our country. So that's my belief. 9/11, everybody probably knows about 9/11, but just to spew a few facts. In September of 2001, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The year is always awful. I was sitting in news writing class, 10th grade news writing class. So pretty good class. But on the television, showed the plane hitting the Twin Towers. And that's what happened on 9/11. Two planes struck the Twin Towers in New York. One struck the Pentagon, and one went down in Pennsylvania. Supposedly, the hijackers were overtaken in Atlanta. Pennsylvania or Ohio? One of the two.
It was Pennsylvania, but it was on its way to D.C.
Yeah.
Which, at that point, like they said, the White House was already evacuated, so hitting that, I don't know.
The conspiracy about the Pentagon is that it was a missile. I don't know about all that. I just believe the government was behind it. That's the part of the conspiracy I'm saying I'm behind is the government was behind it. But all the other stuff, I'm not really. I don't know. I don't.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't remember seeing plane wreckage sticking out of the Pentagon.
Nope.
When I saw pictures of it.
Nope.
And I'm pretty sure you might have seen maybe a tail fin sticking out of a window somewhere or something. But
Yeah.
they're like.
I've watched countless documentaries about 9/11 and conspiracies
I've
against
watched. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched an extreme amount on 9/11. I mean, I've watched a lot of documentaries on different things, especially on Pearl Harbor, the Waco incident, Oklahoma City incident. And then there's always ties to a common thread, when I'm talking about Oklahoma City, Waco, Ruby Ridge, and I'm throwing Pearl Harbor in there for a reason, which kind of ties into 9/11. But there's a common thread is that the government knew the government planned every one of those instances before it happened. The agent at Waco shot himself in the leg for going through the window, so they had an excuse to kill everyone in there, on that particular standoff. Ruby Ridge, they got him to sell firearms so they could kill him later type deal. All the way down to Pearl Harbor, they knew exactly what planes were coming in, and they let them come in and bomb the harbor to give the American people a reason to get back in another world war, right after we'd gotten out of a world war.
That's what our government does.
So, and the only thing that bothers me is I hate the fact that if that is the case, that human life is that trivially looked at by anyone else, because I just, it sucks to think about it in that aspect. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it doesn't go that route. I'm just saying it sucks to think that that's exactly how we are viewed in that aspect. So,
And that also goes right back to the elite and secret
oh yeah, I mean it was all
societies.
planned in Bohemian Grove?
Yeah, it all ties back
10
in.
years
man,
prior?
I'm telling you, it all ties back in.
So, anyway, number 7. And this is kind of the one that ties into my number 6 and one that you've already mentioned. But it's that the moon is not real. That is a reflection from the fact that the Earth is actually flat. So therefore, the moon landing can't be real because the moon's not actually real, and you can't land on something that's not there.
Okay.
And this really ties all the way through. This like takes like 4 or 5 conspiracy theories and just neatly bundles them with one ribbon of the fact the moon's not real. It's a reflection.
Good.
And I have seen so much shit on the moon landing being fake. I have seen so much shit on other things surrounding this to the point I just don't fucking care. And that might be weird to some people, but okay, is the Earth flat? I don't fucking care. Is it round? I just don't fucking care. It can be an oval. We can be living on a goddamn fucking egg for all I care. Oh, hang on. We can be living on a goddamn deviled egg for all I fucking care. That's going to be funny to nobody but one person, maybe. You can put a fat fucking strawberry on top of it at this point. That's just a fucking inside joke. Sorry.
Well, that segues perfectly for me because moon landing hoax is something that I have on my list. Conspirators believe the moon landing never actually happened, as you just said, and claim that it was staged in Hollywood studios sponsored by Walt Disney, which, by the way, is an alleged Nazi emphasizer or sympathizer,
Yeah,
or whatever the fuck
in
they're
the
called.
movie Frozen was there to cover up the fact he's in cryogenesis somewhere.
More conspiracies. Anyways, the motives given by conspirators are for NASA to fake the moon landing, are for U.S. to win the space race, NASA to avoid humiliation and continue to be funded, and that the U.S. government needed to distract the American public from their unpopular involvement in the Vietnam War, which coincidentally, America exited the Vietnam War when this was all taking place. So, do I believe the moon is real? I'm on the same boat as you. I really don't fucking care. I'm not an astronaut. I don't plan to ever go there.
Yeah, I mean,
But their reasoning for why they faked it.
because then you got to
They
look
got
at
valid
other
reasons.
people who say, scientific theory states the gravitational pull of the moon is what controls the tides of the oceans, and I mean, if it's not really there, then what's controlling the tides of the oceans? Some people say it's the spinning of the Earth that controls the tides of the oceans. I don't know.
We're not scientists, so we don't know these things. We just have to take it as what it is, what scientists tell us.
right.
So,
And I'm not.
and that's where conspiracy theories come from.
I've got more things to worry about than where the water goes twice a day.
It goes the opposite way in Australia. Just throwing it out there.
It's probably that city inside the Earth that flushes a big ass toilet once a day, and all the water just moves, and
It's possible.
they're down there laughing at our dumb asses. So that ties into my number 6, which actually is flat Earth.
Okay, well, before you start talking on it, I'm going to include mine as flat Earth also. So we'll just
For
discuss
6,
flat
okay.
Earth.
So what amazes me the most about this conspiracy theory isn't the theory of the fact that the Earth is flat. And they're like, well, we have satellite pictures from space, and I guess they're all taken from exactly the same angle. Because that flat section of Earth has to keep turning to face whatever camera is. Otherwise maybe it's like hexagonal or cubical. I don't fucking know. And, I've always said, well, if it's flat, what keeps the water there? Because if the water goes over the edge of the Earth, it's going to create like a pull until the ocean drains, unless we have an infinite of oceanal water that just never can be drained. And I don't think it's running off the edge of the world at a drip. And then that leads into there's invisible barriers. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like some force field shit.
There's an ice barrier around it.
Okay, there's an ice barrier. And
That's what they say. I'm just
yeah, because Iceman from the X-Men has a full-time job of flying around the Earth, keeping that ice barrier up, which, I guess it's a good job. And it's just like, what kills me about this is how passionate both sides of this argument is.
Yeah.
And we are talking like almost hardcore, catch me outside passionate type shit on this. Like, you are not going to sway either side of this argument from the people on it. Like, and none of the people making the argument have gone to space to find out.
right. But
I want to
who
know.
has gone to space?
I want to know how I can board an airplane flying one direction and come back to that same point if it's not round. Are we flying through an interdimensional portal that opens back up on the other side so we can continue going?
You could go back the same direction.
You can, but
Nope.
if I fly from California to New York, then New York to Japan, I can continue going from Japan to Australia and back to California in a straight line.
You assume so.
Because the flights get shorter. Unless they're putting me on faster and faster planes to keep up the illusion. I don't know. If that's the case, that just seems like a lot of work for
Have you
an
done that?
illusion.
Have you flown from California to wherever you said?
I've never been to California in my life.
Oh, okay. So you're
I have
just,
not even been to New York.
You're just stating it as if.
I'm stating it as if
Okay.
you move linearly across.
But we don't know if anyone's ever
And-
actually done that. We're just assuming. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Okay. And they'll also flat
because
earthers
here's the
will
thing,
tell you
like-
flight patterns and all this other stuff that I don't quite understand. So
It's just it doesn't make sense in certain aspects. And you're right. Everybody has an answer for every argument, depending on what side of that. I'm just sitting in the middle with popcorn, laughing, and I'm not that interested in it. I just think it's funny, and I'm not defending a round Earth versus a flat Earth. I'm just like and I know my whole argument makes it sound like I'm defending a round. I could honestly could just care less. If I'm in an airplane, I could care less how long the flight is. I care less about if I walk off alive and unharmed. Okay, that's it. And the fact that I don't want to shit on a plane. That's my two biggest fears in an airplane.
what if we're in a video game? That's another conspiracy. It's not on my list, but I found that we're just a simulation.
Oh yeah, we're a simulation for
So
like
the shape of the Earth really doesn't matter anyways. But
yeah, I mean, because eventually you're just gonna hit that invisible wall and you can't go any farther. Of course, the video game conspiracy of does Minecraft actually have an end? The guy's been walking in one direction for 4 years and still hasn't found the end of the map. So I'm like, first of all, that's some fucking dedication to sit there day in and day out, like walking in a straight line in Minecraft. Like, what the fuck? But anyway, it's flat Earth to me is more fascinating listening to people debate it
I agree.
on both sides. 'Cause this is the one conspiracy theory I think that has probably the highest amount of passion behind it that I've experienced, that I've seen.
Yeah.
It has the highest amount of people that are absolutely going to refuse to budge on any point, and that's hilarious to me. Like just that. Wow, man! Like these people are going to die on this hill. Like they are actually literally going to die on this hill.
As I stated in the beginning, I am neither of those. I believe it. I guess when it boils down to it, I believe in the heliocentric model or the globe. I guess, but I don't know that, so it could be flat. I don't fucking know. But I'm also with you. I don't care to know. I just want to live my life. But it is cool. I've watched movies, documentaries, or whatever. There's one called Beyond the Curve, I think. The flat Earth guy in the movie is an absolute fucking idiot, and I don't even mean because of his belief of flat Earth, just the way he acts and everything. So if nothing else, watch it for that. He's a fucking idiot. But the movie itself is good. But I can't prove either or. Therefore,
Right.
I'm in the exact middle, and I'm with you. I just enjoy watching people argue over it because there are people that will die on that hill.
There's almost an entertainment value to it in a way
There is.
to this particular one.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not entertaining for people on either side of that equation because they are like, I'm like, God, I'm just waiting for someone to get shot. This is going to be funny. And it's terrible to say that, but it's like, there are times I have seen some debates where I'm like, someone's going to get punched. Like someone is literally going to get teeth knocked out over this shit. So, this is the next conspiracy is more one.
Oh, you're gonna go right.
Oh,
into
we're
the next
doing another one?
No, go for it. I was
Or no?
going to insert a Mary Fuck Kill.
Oh,
there.
let's go with that. Might as well.
Why am I always the one doing the Mary Fuck Kills? All right.
Fine. Bigfoot,
Okay.
the abominable snowman,
All right.
or the Jersey Devil.
Can we have one that doesn't have hair? We already established I don't like hair. Damn it. All right.
You're gonna have to suck this one up. Be like Chewbacca.
I guess so. So the abominable, I think, isn't the abominable snowman and the Bigfoot technically the same thing, or we're separating it for this?
No, so Bigfoot is mainly, in my estimation, roams North America, Canada area.
Okay.
The abominable snowman is in like the Himalayas of Asia.
Oh, okay.
So-
all right.
Very similar type monster, very different regions and kind of looks
Okay.
in a way. But
Based on that information alone, I am going to choose to marry the abominable snowman because I'd much rather live there than in Northern America, Canada. Therefore, I'm going to marry the abominable snowman. I'm going to fuck the Jersey Devil. That would be quite a ride. And then I'm going to kill Bigfoot after I take fucking very, very good pictures and video and prove it that he's real.
this time clearer pictures than
Yeah.
that sketchy ass one, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if you do take the pictures and it comes out blurry, we can solve it. That there's not actually anything wrong with the guy's camera. It's just an out of focus monster we've been looking for.
Exactly.
So
How are you going to do it?
Like I kind of want to visit Asia, so I don't really want to. But I have to go there to kill the abominable snowman. So we'll go ahead and off him off. I don't want to stay there in the cold, but it'd be kind of cool to
That's
visit.
fair.
And as soon as I'm done killing him, I'm definitely going down into the warmer regions to fulfill some different indulgences while I'm there.
Okay.
And at that point,
We also just assumed the sex of all of these. They could be female, you know.
I think they could be.
Okay.
I'll swing back through Jersey and kind of do the same thing that you're doing with the devil there, because that would let's just knock that unpleasantry out of the way, in my opinion.
It might not be unpleasant.
It might not, but every picture I've seen, it just really
Looks like Snooki.
with bat wings and better makeup. And I will marry Bigfoot, and here's the reason why. There are times I just like solitude, and they know all the best fucking hiding places ever.
Bet. I like your answer. Okay. Plus, you don't ever have to post pictures. And if you do,
Right, I don't have to worry
they're going
about
to be blurry.
I don't have to worry about doing that like couples posting on Facebook, or anniversary comes around. I don't have to worry about going and getting the dinner or flowers or some shit. It's just, you know what? We're just gonna chill by the campfire again tonight, like we've done every fucking night since I got there. Listen to some crickets, maybe go fishing or some shit. I don't know. But yeah. All right, so now we're into 5, halfway home, guys. And this, I'm just going to go ahead, like I said, and the reason I did that is because, once again, if you're going to do a Marry, Fuck, Kill, it leads into your next one, I'm going to, too. This is where it kind of goes between conspiracy or creature feature for me. And that is Loch Ness. And people are saying that, it is what it is. Or there's still theories saying that people are still seeing Nessie to this day. And quote unquote, Nessie died. Quote unquote, they drug up this beast at some point. Some say, no, it's just living in the bottom. It has no reason to come to the top. Well, the original theory was it was an air breather. So unless it's held its breath for the last 50 years, who knows?
Evolution. If that's not a conspiracy.
If that's not a conspiracy. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, when did we stop evolving? When did everything freeze in place? Why can you not find something halfway through an evolution process now? That's what doesn't make sense. Because if we are constantly evolving and things are moving and things are going, why can't I go outside and see a mouse cat or something that is evolving up forward into something more?
Maybe it takes more time for it to be that much of a change. Like, I think there's
that blows your evolution theory out of the water for next.
Because I think there's still small evolutions that we make every day. So I think something like that. Like
that's the title of his next self-help book. Small evolutions every day.
Here's another conspiracy that's not on either one of our lists. Well, at least not on mine. That has to do with evolution and such. Like, we are being controlled or taken over by AI. Evolution of us, maybe eventually we'll have AI inside of us. We'll be partial robots. We already technically do with amputees and shit. So
you gotta look at like pacemakers, things like that. Where you have.
So see what I'm saying? We're still evolving. We're still
Cyberpunk 2077's right around the corner, folks. Just hang in there.
Back to Nessie.
Yeah. So, and when it comes to all the different, I guess, creatures in that aspect, Nessie was always the coolest one in my opinion. Like, there's just a prehistoric monster caught in a lake that also takes really poor pictures. If we haven't figured out, all these creature sightings have really poor, photogenic qualities to them. And I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that no matter what, just kind of like Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, Nessie has stuck around through the test of time. People still are interested in keeping this alive, right? So it just deserves a spot on my list because of that. Like, when it comes to, you have a lot of conspiracy theories, especially now with social media and things that are happening that come and go really quick. You hear about them and they don't really come back. Nessie's still kicking, man. Nessie's still up there. She's still getting a mention here and there,
Honestly, out of all of the conspiracy theories, I think Nessie and aliens are probably the most believable, because there are so many uncharted waters in America that the depths we cannot go to, have not went to, whatever. And the same thing for outer space.
No,
We'd be stupid. Like, I feel that we'd be stupid to not believe that there's other living creatures in space, the same as in the waters.
and they say we have more compiled information about space than we have about what's in the bottom of our own ocean.
That's wild.
And you know, when you think about places like the Mariana Trench, I mean, we're talking 5-6 miles down. I think some places even deeper than that, 12 to 14 or something like that, that they've been able to measure before they weren't able to measure any farther, which doesn't mean it doesn't go deeper. And we have no clue about what's there. Is there some form of life that can survive that deep in those crushing depths? Is there different, you know? And now every time I turn on TikTok, I see these like AI generated like deep sea monster shit that looks creepy as, you know, shit, which is just kind of funny. And it's just there's a legitimate interest into what exactly is in our own oceans, in our own, you know, we use these oceans as it's a vital part of our lives. It's a vital part of our survival is to have a planet with this much water on it, have a planet with this, you know, kind of wildlife and sustainability. And the ocean's a huge part of that. And we know virtually nothing about it. It's kind of weird when you look at it.
Hear me out. Just hear me out. What if you swim down so far instead of reaching,
Swim out the other side.
just swim out the other side? Maybe that's what Nessie's doing. It's actually a creature from the inner Earth coming up, just seeing what's going on. And they're like, "Fuck this," goes back down.
There's a tunnel down there that it goes in and out of, and just comes up and chills. And what is it, Scotland or Ireland? Where's
I think Scotland.
Scotland? Yeah.
I think so.
Comes up to go drinking with a few of his sailor buddies on the lake and goes back down. I'm completely cool with that explanation for some reason. Now I just want to go sit out on that lake in a boat and have a beer with Nessie.
Let's
man.
fucking go. I'm down.
What'd you do today? Sharing a beer with Ness, man. I don't know. It was great. You know, we cracked a couple Guinnesses. She was like, "See you next month." Like, fucking sweet. You know?
My next one on the list goes hand in hand with that because, like you just said, space, water. This one's space. And this one's actually closer. We could actually drive to this one, or a short flight, 4 hours, I think. Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's familiar with Area 51. Well, most people are. But I also have /Majestic 12. Are you familiar with the Majestic 12?
Yeah. Now, remind me real quick, but isn't that the quote-unquote 12 alien species that were out there?
No. That's called something else. I know what you're talking about. But no, the Majestic 12 was a secret committee of 12.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly formed in 1947 by an executive order by the U.S. President Harry S. Truman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was explained how the crash in an alien spacecraft at Roswell in 47 was concealed, how the recovered alien technology could be exploited, and how the U.S. should engage with extraterrestrial life in the future. So that's what the Majestic 12 was. It just involves Roswell, which goes back to Area 51, which is a base, military base in Nevada, about, I think, 4 hours north. I could have the complete direction wrong, but 4 hours northwest of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually called something else. The military base is, like, military-wise, they call it something. I can't remember what it is. But it's probably not even where Area 51 actually is, as that goes back to...
Because we all know it's in Antarctica now with the
Yeah,
Nazis. You know?
and it's underground, and yeah.
I mean, it's no secret that experiments are done out there. I mean...
It's supposed to be a military testing ground for weapons and aerials.
Right.
Supposed to be.
The F-17 stealth bomber, that came, the technology, the testing, the ability for, during Desert Storm, for that thing to fly completely undetected by radar was, you know, an unbelievable advancement in military technology at the time. But it came from, technically, Area 51, you know, that military base. Yeah. This is the things that, you know, it's not that we don't ever see anything that doesn't come out of there. It's not so top secret you don't know what's going on out there. It's just people don't realize that, you know, there are many different missiles, weapons, aircraft, new styles of, you know, landcraft, tanks and things that do come out of that area where it's being designed and built and tested and ran. So I mean, it's only likely that people are going to be like, well, what are they not telling us? What are they not releasing?
But that's the government in a whole. Right down the street from us is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Mhm.
There are conspiracies about that base and underground and aliens and stuff there
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
And I have been on that base. I've never been on Area 51, but I've been on Wright-Pat.
Mhm.
Of course, I haven't been in all the restricted areas or whatever. But so it's just how the government is.
Growing up, we had family friends, and he was a member of the Air Force. He did have base privileges there. I've been on the base with him and his family, many times. He's since long since retired. And there have been stories, and I do know, he was able to tell us. I'm guessing it's not that big of a deal, but he did say that the base is much bigger underground than you can see above ground. He goes, there are vehicles that go down there that never see the light of day again. They're repaired down there. They're driven around down there. He goes, and there are people that sign contracts and they go underground for 5 or 6 years and before they come back up.
Where do I sign this contract? I want to do this.
So what goes on down there, I don't know. And I know that there are certain areas that he says are considered secure and considered places that they would bring officials during, nuclear strikes or things like that. Which obviously we all know those places exist. And it's just one of those scenarios of, it's you think about, most people listening to this would have no idea, but you can Google Earth Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and you can see it covers a pretty large section of area, for where it's at, and you got to think it's much bigger underground. Yeah. Obviously, that is going to spark, well, what the hell is under there? I think a lot of this is questions that come up where people are like, don't worry about it. When you do that, everyone's imagination is going to go to the worst possible thing. Yeah. Everyone's imagination is going to go into so many different areas and avenues, and that's where we have our conspiracy theories. A lot of this is, they don't want us to know what's down there. Well, there's your grain of truth to it. Yeah, you're right. None of your business. We don't want you to know what's down there. And now everyone's like, well, here's what must be down there. Yeah. That's where you get some of these stories, man.
Yep.
So, and on that, kind of bleeds into a few other things that you touched on earlier about the elites in different areas and different people that run everything. But this was an interesting conspiracy theory I ran across, and that is that actually Germany and Japan actually won World War II.
Okay.
That
enlighten me, please.
Everything was staged and set, from Hitler killing himself to the bombs dropping on Japan, that they'd evacuated most of the people and they just let them bomb it, so that they gave the rest of the world the idea that the Allied forces won. They gave up on the pure Aryan race theory. They gave up on a lot of different, axis of evil and things of that nature. Left Russia out to dry on it. But you have Germany and Japan that teamed up, and that they are actually from a secure location, pulling the rest of the strings around the world in efforts to degrade civilization to a point that they can come back and rebuild it under the guise of a combined Third Reich and Old Japan rule.
And they're currently in Argotha, underneath
Antarctica.
It's underneath Antarctica. So, they've found the Fountain of Youth.
The two conspiracies that back this up the most are the fact that there is a quote-unquote Nazi base, and here's where I go back to the Nazi base in Antarctica, that is actually a mixture of the old Japan rulers and the Nazi rulers of World War II, and the fact that there is a massive, rich German colony in South America, where they're saying that at the end of World War II, it's where all the Nazis fled to. And that's where they are thriving and living. And it is proven there is a huge, German colony, and everyone down there seems to have a shit ton of money. And they've all just kind of skated by for years on end. And they all did settle there around 1944. Well, yeah, that's about the time they realized this shit wasn't going to last. And people started, I don't know if this was, hey, we're just going to immigrate here. We have an opportunity to go here. We can get out from underneath this. We don't want nothing to do with it anymore. But they do say, they have said that there are certain families that have fizzled out down there over the past, 60 years. And they have found Nazi paraphernalia down there buried in people's yards and things of that nature. So whether or not it is these people just trying to move past, or if this is really an underground, scenario, but that has spawned the whole that Germany and Japan actually won World War II, and we are all living under the misconceptional guise that the Allied forces won, and they are pulling the strings, which is why China has become so big, and why Russia is slowly growing as big as it is, because these are going to be the two strings being pulled by Germany and Japan to reunite and bring back the entire realm and rule of the old Third Reich. And I don't remember what the Japan was called at the time. But it's going to be like a hybrid of the original governments from the 30s.
That is news to me. I haven't heard any of that.
It's an interesting kind of rabbit hole to drop down, but it's one of those things, man. It's just kind of one of those things.
There's a lot of holes in this podcast.
There's so many holes in these. Like I'm not going to punch holes in it. I could punch holes in almost everything I've talked about so far. I'm just saying that it's out there, and that people are saying, and people are considering this theory.
I think we need to get a shovel. We just need to start digging, because there's so many things that are also underground. That's one of the next things I'm going to talk about is underground. But I did not know any of what you just said. That's why I didn't say a word. I was just listening. That's pretty fascinating, and I guess potentially believable. I don't
Like the Matrix, or
who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe
it's
the Allied forces did not actually win
World War.
And then it goes back to Walt Disney, who was a Nazi sympathizer. What is it? Sympathizer or empathizer? It's sympathizer, right?
Sympathizer.
So Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathizer. He helped them stage the bombing and all of that stuff. Wow. We're putting it all together here on this podcast.
We're putting something together. I don't know what it is.
All right. Well, to stay on the Nazi shit, to stay on the underground fucking location shit, the Denver airport. Do you know?
Denver Airport is a underground hub for the Illuminati, is what I heard.
That's one thing, yeah.
And that you need to stay away from the Denver airport because there's people that come up missing there.
Even though 90% of the flights out of Ohio going to the West Coast always goes through Denver. I'm always there no matter what. But so it's believed to be built by the New World Order. New World Order. So I had to do that. With ties to Nazism. The runways are said to resemble a swastika.
Listen. Hulk Hogan does not need any more bad breaths.
That's fair. But the runways are said to resemble a swastika. And then the airport dedication marker credits the New World Airport Commission for building it. There's actually a marker that says the New World Airport Commission. So I don't know if they're just playing into all the conspiracies or what, because also there's people that, workers or whatever, that, I forget what it said, but they're literally playing into the different conspiracies. They'll dress up as certain things or whatever. But there's several unmarked buildings all around the airport, as well as underground areas. There was a time capsule that was unearthed, not to be opened until 2094. It contained markings and symbols that were related to Freemasons, which is another whole secret society conspiracy theory thing. On top of that, I have a lot of information about this, so bear with me for a second. There is a giant blue Mustang. I have never actually seen this. I need to go outside the airport next time I'm there because I want to see this. But there's a giant blue Mustang with glowing red eyes that sits on the airport's property. Conspirators claim that it is an homage to the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and they actually refer to it as Blucifer. Blucifer's creator died 2 years before the project ended when a 9,000-pound piece of the sculpture, its head, fell on his leg and severed an artery. They put the head back on, Instead of getting rid of the statue altogether, they actually put the head back on.
It's what he would have wanted.
And I mean, maybe. End of world conspirators believe that the Denver airport will be a safe haven for the elite and/or lizard people and aliens. There is a large network of underground tunnels, a train that runs between concourses, and a long-defunct automated baggage system. Much of the artwork seen throughout the airport is very strange. Some of the art is believed to be a depiction of doomsday, and many are believed to have proof of New World Order imagery. 2 of the murals are currently being held in storage until 2028, when the construction of the Great Hall is expected to be complete. No idea what the Great Hall is, but there's a lot going on in the Denver airport.
You know, I mean, you go to Cincinnati, there's trains that runs between the concourses. I mean,
But these ones are unused. They're unused. They're down there and they're not being used. It's not that they're there and
So they never appear to be used.
Correct.
So they're just there for the Illuminati to get around, apparently.
When doomsday comes, I think that's what they're all like.
Fire up the train that hasn't been fired up in 45 years.
I'm sure they do test trials when the airport's not populated, but I don't know.
Denver's one of the biggest airports in the country. When is it not populated? I'm just going to throw that out there.
When they close off for construction purposes, who knows?
Oh, yeah, like the Great Hall.
There is a lot of stuff going on there, though. Like, that's a lot.
All right, so...
And Nazis again. Why are Nazis involved in this? Sorry, go on.
We're back to the royal family. I got 2 more.
You're not saying anything about that. You're going on to your next one.
Nazis, whatever.
Okay, fine.
I mean, at this point, kind of with the Nazis and the Illuminati, it feels like we're just beating a dead horse. Or at this point, maybe a dead Mustang. But
the Mustang's not dead, though. It's the creator.
So Queen Elizabeth, and I'm not talking about the original Queen Elizabeth. We'll get to her. But they're saying that she died recently. When they said the reason she lived so long, and she always had I don't know, if you look at Queen Elizabeth in the later years of her life, her smile was creepy as shit. You ever notice that? She kind of always tilted her head down and kind of had a weird kind of smile to her. But they said the reason she lived as long as she did with the health that she had was because she was a cannibal. And that there would be people that would be brought to the royal family's estate and that would be killed, and she would eat people. And that is how she lasted as long as she did.
I thought it was babies that were sacrificed. It was grown people?
Babies,
maybe
people,
both? Okay.
Just,
all right.
The fact that, they say she's a cannibal. I think isn't the babies a Hollywood elite thing where they're like getting some kind of weird.
It's everywhere, yes.
I mean, Derek, it makes you not want to have kids. Like, goddamn. But yeah, so the conspiracy behind that is the reason she lived as long as she did was because she consumed humans. This is far-fetched, in my opinion, as far as this goes. Like, obviously, the healthcare system for elites, even in the United States, is far superior than what we get.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at, there's hospitals dedicated just for our government officials. You're not going to go in there and get any kind of treatment. This is people on standby strictly for our government officials. And they are able to rapidly do things that no one else does. And they're able to rapidly get results that no one else gets. In my opinion, it's probably the same in England.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, England has a prime minister.
Probably more so.
But the royal family is something that is still highly revered in England. And I can only imagine that kind of the best is kind of reserved for them. So I'm guessing that her healthcare and her longevity of life that she had was a lot due to the healthcare she got. And of course, just like any other country, when you're looking at government leaders, or in this case, I don't know, is it even a monarchy anymore? Because it's not really because they have a cabinet, they have a prime minister. It is a weird kind of...
Much like American politics, I don't really follow it. So
right.
I don't...
So I'm going to, and obviously, she's eating people. Charles is a vampire. I mean, maybe it was all of his victims that she was eating at this point. So, I mean,
You know, I found it fascinating how people were trying to spin this into something. At that point, that's what this is. It's just fascination.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it under the guise of validity. I'm not looking at it under the guise of could this actually be. At this point, it's just I read it. I'm like, huh. Well, somebody was special to get to this conclusion, in my opinion. Like, because in my opinion, if I want to punch holes in it, like, look, the healthcare obviously for these people is much higher, much more of interesting quality than what we have. Much more of a, and I'm assuming that would contribute to longevity. The amount of good healthcare they have access to.
Right.
Instead, we're going to go with, nah, she's eating people, and that is something to do with that.
Well, I mean, once our podcast really pops off, once we really get going, we can always just be Mythbusters and try it. We can off a couple people, eat them, see how.
I'm going to be on vacation when you record that particular one because I have no desire to like.
Okay.
I'm not. No, man, I have eaten some weird shit in my life. I'm not going to go to that level.
All right. Well, before
I have found the line. I have found the line drawn in the sand. I'm not doing that. I didn't think I'd be 43 years old and find that line, but yeah, okay.
There's no line for me. Anyways, before I go on to the next one, let's go ahead and come to applause. A screeching halt, because we need to give another Marry, Fuck, Kill. And since you brought up the royal family, we'll go with Queen Elizabeth, the one that you were just referring to, the people eater.
People eater. People eater.
And then we will go with Princess Diana, which I'm sure there's a conspiracy involved around her. I didn't research it, but I'm sure there is. So Princess Diana. And then just to be weird, I'm going to throw in the Hawktua girl.
Hawktua girl.
Those are our choices.
All right. We're just killing the Queen of England at this point.
Straight up.
Straight up.
No more eating people for you, bitch.
Yeah, no more. Because if that's actually the case, we're just gonna do a service. Probably gonna fuck the Hawktua girl. Just, I don't know, out of principle. I just turn her from Hawktua into Pac-Man. Good God. For those of you that don't get that, figure it out. And I'm probably going to marry Princess Diana. And this is going to sound terrible, and it is terrible, and it's meant in jest. Because eventually she's going to end up on the radio and most of the dash.
That's so fucking inappropriate.
And I won't be in the car, so because obviously she wasn't going to do that with her husband. But
all right, I am also going to off with the head Queen Elizabeth. I am going to fuck Princess Diana.
Well, you know she's
for-
DTA.
Yes.
DTF.
She's both. So I'm gonna fuck Princess Diana for the same reason, but also I can just say I fucked a princess. I don't want to be married to a princess. That's too much upkeep. However, I will marry Hawktua because, well, she gonna spit on that thing for the rest of my life, and she's the prettiest out of the three. Come on, let's be honest. So, and I'm shallow, so I'm marrying Hawktua. All right. So my next one is it's known as the E theory or the EE elite, double E elite maybe. I don't know. It was just typed out as EE elite. So this is again secret society, that kind of shit. Conspirators believe that male individuals born in the 19th century to present day, given a first name that the fifth letter is an E and the second letter of the last name is also an E, are born into the elite. While some are almost instantly propelled into the prosperity of the elite, others live a majority of their lives not knowing that it has been bestowed upon them. Conspirators believe that the members of this secret society are constantly watching these individuals and intervening in their life without it being known. At some point, In each individual's life, they are met with the reality and are given a choice to join the secret society or be killed. Conspirators also believe that many of the EE elites walk among others, choosing to be part of the secret society, knowing many secrets that others do not, but never share their knowledge, because if they do, they will be killed. So, there is people that believe that men with the fifth letter, this is going by letters of names, E, the first name, and the second letter E of their last name. Both of the people in this fucking room are under that umbrella.
No.
No?
It's the sixth letter.
Yours is the sixth letter? Okay.
M-A-T-T-H.
Well, one of us in this fucking room are under that umbrella. I mean, I can't say because I'll be killed. But that is the E theory or the EE elite, double E, I don't know, whichever it is. We're making conspiracies based on letters of names.
Based on letters of names now? Wow.
What the fuck is going on? Again, I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm not saying that I do believe it. Because I don't fucking know, maybe.
I mean, the second letter of my last name is an E, so I guess
That's why
I might know one or two of the many secrets. But
How do you spell your first name?
Mattthew.
Oh,
So
man.
it would be the sixth letter.
If you had one less T,
I had one less T. I would
then
fit
you
into
and
that.
I would
Right.
be part of the EE elite.
Right. And since I was never approached, obviously I'm not part of the
Well, it says
elite.
that it's said that you go a majority of your life. You may go a majority of your life not knowing.
Oh,
and
well,
then-
maybe there's still time.
And then one day you will be approached. Well, you're not because you're sixth letter. But me, myself, one day I'm going to be approached,
Maybe I'll get in the B class
And
instead
they're-
of the main ride.
and they're going to say, "Listen, Nathan with an E," which is also okay. Hold on. My name is weird. My name is Nathan with an E. How many Nathans with an E do you know? Like most
Yeah.
Nathans are Natha. Oh shit! I might actually believe this one. Let's move on.
Oh God. All right. My number two actually is kind of a two-way tie, so I'm just going to throw one as an honorable mention because when I say this, everyone's going to know it. And it's more of an argument than I would say a conspiracy theory or debate. But it's that Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain.
Oh,
And anyone that likes music has heard this argued hundreds of times. So I'm throwing that as an honorable mention for my number two because my actual number two is going to go back to the royal family, and I'm talking about the first.
like the royal family.
I
don't
know.
you?
There's so much. I fell down such a fucking rabbit hole. I could have done all 10 on the royal family. But this one I found interesting enough to go, holy shit. The original Queen Elizabeth, they say, was actually a boy. And the reason they give this was that the actual queen, when the actual queen was a twin, and the girl died at birth. So the mother began dressing the boy up as a girl, and they went through all this hoopla to keep him feminine as
Hold on.
possible.
When was this?
This is way back.
Way back. Okay, so is this the start of people not knowing their pronouns?
It very well could be. I mean, if it all started from here, it was here. And we were talking about, like, she was always in paintings, dresses up to the neck, never showed a bust line, never. And if you look at the old original paintings, she does kind of have a masculine almost look about her. But then again, back then, a lot of the women, it seemed like they did when they were painted. And they basically said that the biggest reason for this is she was the only queen documented to be 100% chaste her entire life. Never took a lover. I don't know if that's true, but they said because she remained chaste her whole life, that it's proof she wasn't a girl. And it's like there was very, very few offers for her to marry. As far as back then, there was a lot of marriages for combined wealth. There's a lot of marriages for combined power. And it was never an option with her. And they say that there was just a lot that wasn't ever really. And I'm just saying, oh, this is just fucking insane. Now we're just maybe she was just an ugly woman. I don't know. Like, maybe she was just cold when she walked into a room, and the guys were like, "Hell pass," And maybe people can't. Look, we're arranging a marriage with you and Queen Elizabeth. I will slit my throat right now. I'm not doing that. I'm just not. I can't. I don't know. I don't know how that story plays out. But the theory of this is that she was actually a man, and that they would stuff the dress and everything else to give her the appearance of breast and all this stuff. Once again, apparently higher end medical care. And that there was a lot of things that was held back, and that the reigning queen was a king. Maybe this is where cross-dressing started. I don't know. Doesn't that go back to Greece? I really don't know. The story is not going to be over until the Queen King comes, I guess, and then we can actually figure that out. Is it a shake or a sport? I don't know.
It goes back to none of my business. I really don't want to know anyways. So,
now there's a line you're going to draw.
that was up there. Yeah, there's the line.
Like, I'm not looking under the Queen's skirt. I don't want to know. Like,
okay, fine. Marry, fuck, kill. Queen Elizabeth, P. Diddy,
the tranny?
RuPaul.
Oh, God.
The Queen Elizabeth you were just talking about. Sean Combs.
We're killing Diddy.
RuPaul. Okay, killing Diddy.
We're killing Diddy. I don't agree with the Diddy parties. I don't like Justin Bieber, but I think he's literally the reason Bieber's fucked in the head, and Bieber does some really weird shit. And so you know what, Diddy, just publish a list and then put my picture beside it as the guy who took Diddy out. Just make it very clear I'm the one that ended the Diddy parties. And Johnson & Johnson is going to be really upset because they're not longer going to be shipping 55-gallon drums of baby oil to his house. But at the same point in time,
I think that's already.
It probably has stopped at this point. I think he had a tanker behind the house on like this pneumatic gun. I don't know. That was oddly accurate of a pneumatic pumping gun. I've never been to a Diddy party.
Prove it.
So sad.
Prove it.
I'm not sure how. But
Exactly.
this falls under the 99% of what I'm telling you is true. I've never been to a Diddy party. So
you're killing Diddy.
I'm gonna fuck Queen Elizabeth just so I know.
Fair. Okay.
I will have.
I was going that route too.
It won't be Victoria's Secret, but I will know Elizabeth's secret, and then I'm going to open a lingerie store for trannies. I have no idea. It would be called Elizabeth's Secret. There's a dick. That's
Tagline. There's a dick. Okay, and then you're going to marry RuPaul.
I guess that leaves me marrying RuPaul.
Okay.
What is my reason for that?
Because you're killing Diddy and you're wanting to see what's under her skirt. So,
out of the three, there's the least amount of justice and curiosity about RuPaul. We all know he's got a dick and dresses up like a chick. I mean,
exactly.
And at least, I guess he can apply makeup well. I don't really know anymore. There's no other than he seems like he's a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
Pretty
successful.
I've never watched any of his shows. I've seen him in interviews. He seems like a pretty laid back guy, and he seems successful at what he does. But I mean, I'm not gonna watch a marathon of RuPaul's Drag Race. So, I mean, I started an episode of that because I didn't know who RuPaul was, and I didn't realize what the Drag Race was. I thought it was something totally different. And I'm sitting here going, there's a serious lack of cars in this.
Oh my God.
Why is there a bunch of weird looking chicks? Oh, I get it now. Okay.
Before we ostracize any of our listeners,
Look, I'm just saying I understand now. I'm not saying you can't do it. To each your own, man. You want to put on your
do they call them costumes? Again, I
I'm
don't know
not
what they
sure.
call them.
I don't
You
either.
know what? I mean, I don't go to drag shows.
Just
but
leave
I
it
don't
to each
knock
their
it.
own.
You know, each their own. Hey,
Teach their own.
we all have hobbies. I'm not knocking your hobby. It's just not one I think I would get into. I think the beard would kind of give it away if I tried. I mean, oh God, that means I'd end up in a circus. Anyway,
Bearded
go
lady.
ahead.
Yeah.
Is it the
Okay.
bearded lady or the tittied man? I don't know which.
There's nothing more to add to that. If you have the same exact order, I would kill fucking Diddy. Before I killed him, though, I would try to get out of him if he had anything to do with Tupac and Biggie's murder, because I think he does.
Oh, yeah,
that's a whole
that's
other conspiracy.
right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think you're right too.
but Diddy, he dies. I would probably cut his dick off and choke him to death with it.
I would cut his dick off, give him a Colombian necktie with it sticking out with his tongue. So I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
So that's what's happening to Diddy. Okay. And by the way, I like Bieber. Let's not have any Bieber hate on this podcast.
Oh, I don't say I hate him. He's not my style of music, but I think a lot of the what people called normal teenage angst that he got into that ended up hitting the news, they seemed more desperate than just a normal teenage angst. And now that all of this is coming out, and you know that was his mentor, and you go back and look at different like scenarios where they were on like talk shows together, Bieber was really uncomfortable around him, like really. And I'm like, now it clicks. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You know, I think there were things he was making this kid do.
All right.
So
Killing Diddy. I am also fucking, I guess, well, no. I am switching it. Never mind. No. I'm at a dilemma here. I don't know what to do. I thought I had it all planned out, but now I'm going over in my head and I don't like the outcomes. Diddy's definitely dead. No matter what I do, Diddy's dead.
so Diddy stays dead.
Oh, whatever. I'm going to go with my original. I'm going to fuck Queen Elizabeth, like you said, just see up her skirt, see if there is a dick or not. If there's a dick, I guess I'm sucking it. If there's not, I guess I'm not.
Wow, dude, you could always be the top. Like, why do you automatically go to sucking the dick?
I don't feel like I'm going to get as much
Cradling
enjoyment.
the balls, drinking the gravy.
I don't feel like I'm going to get enjoyment out of it, so I just let the other person enjoy it. Anyways, and then I'm going to marry RuPaul because we don't have to have sex. That's what happens in marriage most of the time. Luckily, that's not my marriage. Love you, Erica. But she does. I'm not sure. RuPaul seems like a cool person, so I married RuPaul.
Yeah, like, oh, he kind of seems like a chill, kind of laid back dude.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. Everyone like knocks same sex marriage, but once you're married, isn't it all the same sex anyway? I mean,
Yeah. If I'm the next one to go, you have two left, or you have one left?
One left. I have
Okay,
one
I have
left.
two left, so I'm the next one to go. Okay, I'm going to end it on a banger. So this one, this one, this one's not the banger, I guess. All right, this one goes back to underground fucking tunnels and shit. All right, are you familiar with the Malta? I think I'm saying it right. It's Malta catacombs. Okay.
There's so many conspiracy theories surrounding catacombs.
Yes. Okay.
The Malta ones, it's not ringing a bell, but I know about catacombs.
Okay. So the Malta catacombs, and from what I'm researched, I think St. Paul catacombs are the same thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
These catacombs are located under Rabat. Again, probably not saying it right. Malta. Rabat, Malta. And are the largest Romanian burial sites in Malta. They are a network of underground cemeteries that date back to 3rd century BC and were in use until the 4th century AD. The conspiracy behind them. There were 11 skulls that were discovered and were said to be elongated. 7,000 burials were originally said to have been found in the catacombs by archaeologist Timmy Zamet. Zamet. Yeah, Timmy. It's actually spelled Temi. I'm maybe pronouncing this all fucked up, but that's irrelevant.
Tamai?
Yeah, Timmy, whatever. Zamet. He discovered. He's an archaeologist. He discovered this shit. Has been
He dug it up.
but has since been changed to approximately 120 individuals. So he said that he discovered 7,000 burials and 11 elongated skulls. Why there were not the other thousands of skulls, I don't know. But whatever, 120 individuals is what later has been changed to. In an article in National Geographic, it was reported that a group of this is after that whole, wow. you're laughing. No, you're not. You're laughing. You're just shaking it. I mean, you think you're laughing. Let me start this over.
From the beginning?
No, not from the beginning. Just from there. All right. So
Okay.
the Zamet guy, he did that. Okay, and then later, National Geographic was reported that a group of elementary Maltese children and their teacher descended into the hypogeum, Hypogeum.
God, they're doing field trips?
Yeah, entered a burial chamber, which subsequently collapsed, never to return. So this is a whole fucking elementary group and their teacher, never to return. The story in National Geographic stated the mothers for weeks declared they heard wailing and screaming from underground, but numerous excavations and why can't I fucking read and talk? Is it excavation? No, excavation.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. But numerous excavations and searching parties brought no trace of the lost souls. So the kids disappeared, never to be seen again. And then another report claims that a British embassy worker found herself teetering above a large cliff with a steep drop across the chamber. Was a small ledge with an opening in the wall. She claimed large humanoid covered in white hair popped out from this opening and proceeded to raise their palms in her direction. She ran out, and at that point, I believe she was never heard from again. And also, I think the catacombs were since shut down. Both those later statements could be incorrect. The whole thing could be fucking incorrect for all I know. That's what a conspiracy theory is. So I fumbled over that whole fucking thing, but there's some underground catacombs and some crazy shit has went on in them.
I mean, there is I don't really want to say a stigma. There is a natural fear of any underground areas. I think in a very, almost in a healthy sense from people. I think it's more of a survival thing. You know, you just don't go into anything that's super enclosed or something that could. And I remember when I was a teenager, I ended up going on a trip where they did it was a cave crawling trip.
Oh shit.
And it's one of those, it was one of those places where they did these things every day. It was at a well-known place. It just wasn't us grabbing gear and going into a random cave we found. It was a guided tour. They do this same route day in, day out. And I remember we got to a point where the top of the cave was a sheer rock slab. And the bottom of the cave was also a sheer rock slab. And I remember I had to have my head turned to the side, and I was propelling myself forward with my ankles pushing my feet and my hands gripping and pulling to a degree. And you had to pull like almost in a wingspan motion, because my stomach was dragging. Obviously I was laying on my stomach, and my shoulder blades were getting drug across the top of this. That's how narrow of an opening this was. And
Fuck that.
I remember they were saying that probably within the next 10 to 15 years, which I guess technically would be now, depending on how everything in the earth works, that opening they've been crawling through for the last 50 years has been getting narrower and narrower. And I remember halfway through, I'm like, what? You know, and they told us this before we crawled through it, not after.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got to it, they're like, hey, when you get to the other end, you will know you're going to feel, you know, and this was just whatever lights we had on us. And since my head was turned to the side and light wasn't going forward, it was shooting off to the side. Like when you feel the edge, turn around and go out feet first. And he was like, it's going to be weird. It's a 5-foot drop. He goes, we have measured this 100 times. I guarantee you it's a 5-foot drop. You know, no one there was under 5 foot anyway. He goes, just turn around and back off and hold on to the ledge and just drop down. He goes, oh, and by the way, the last 2 feet's in water. So not only am I dropping into a dark hole, but I was dropping into a dark hole and the last 2 feet was going to be water. And this was where they showed us cave spiders and everything else. And like these things are, and he's like, yeah, there is fish and stuff that live in this pool.
Nope.
And I just remember that was like, I remember halfway through, I'm going, what happens if the earth shifts now and I just become a red stain that eventually drains out into this pool? It's why
have never been back in a cave like that since. And you think about catacombs and things where they're going in and they're doing excavations and stuff like that. Just to me, just seems like you're creating such an unstable environment where, like, a cave-in or collapsing, where a whole group of kids went missing and the teacher. Like, man, I get that it seemed like a cool idea at the time, but in any place where a tragedy like that happens, there seems to be a lot of things that pop up where people see either apparitions or spirits, or they hear things, or which is why you have all across the nation, you hear about these places like Crybaby Bridge and things like that. And every town, every city seems to have a Crybaby Bridge where somebody threw their child off the bridge or something. You can hear it cry between 2 and 3 in the morning, or whatever the stipulation is. And so I have no doubt that mothers who went out there were convinced that they could hear something.
Yeah.
Because obviously something that traumatic, you're going to want to hear something.
Right.
I don't know. That sounds like the opening scene of a horror film, if you want the truth.
Right.
Like it sounds like a preface before like the movie Descent or something. Like,
but it wasn't closed after that. It stayed open, and then at some point in time, this other person, I forgot what it was, and I already deleted it. She was
there and saw this like creature or whatever.
She saw creatures. Sorry, plural. And then it shut down.
Right. And the thing about it is how many times does a story have to circulate before you go out there with almost a preconceived idea? And we all know that your brain can fill in certain gaps. Your brain can fill in certain fears, and your fears and your beliefs can play into what you see. Now, was that really the last straw? Oh, shit, they found the monster. Fuck it, shut it down.
Yeah.
Or was it, all right, we're just sick of this shit. Like, everyone that goes out there sees something stupid, so we're just going to shut it down. We're done, You kind of hope it's the latter, not the former, in that chain of statements.
Again, though, I don't know for a fact that it was shut down. Like, it could still be open,
Right.
people going there. That's
Right.
just what I found, that it was shut down, and that she was never seen after that. So,
My last one, my number one, though, the funny one for me on this is I just went ridiculous. All right? And this is one that I had heard of this previous until I actually looked into it for this episode. And that's that Katy Perry is actually JonBenet Ramsey.
what?
Yes. Dude, it is so fucking weird, right? Like, and that's what I said. Let's at least end it with something a little bit more elevated than dead school kids. Jesus. So the scary part is, if you look at JonBenet Ramsey's parents and you look at Katy Perry's parents, they look very similar. It's kind of scary. Different names. And what they're saying is that JonBenet never died. She was hidden away. And the parents eventually went and changed their last name, or their first and last names, and became different people, and brought her back out of hiding for a musical career.
Sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Katy Perry. Oh, shit. Okay. Anyway. You're counting. Oh, my God. We're counting letters. Okay. All right. So, and then she became a successful musical artist.
Yep.
And the funny part is people do these like AIs that travel people down to see what they look like as kids and things like that. And when they look at baby pictures or even childhood pictures of JonBenet and Katy Perry, it's scary how similar they look. Is it exact? No. You can look at that and go, oh God, no. But you can also look at that and go, holy shit, like they could definitely be sisters or cousins type shit. Like it actually is kind of similar. It's kind of weird. And I'm just saying, and it's crazy because you have like Katy Perry's like, no, I wasn't JonBenet Ramsey. Like, but is that really what she's saying, or is she continuing the act? You know what I mean? Like there is that whole back and forth. It's just a fun one to end on, in my opinion.
I have not heard that.
It's weird. You can find a pretty in-depth rabbit hole of people trying to explain this and how this works. And I'm like, wow, that is the most insane resurfacing of a celebrity I've ever heard in my life. But
I think I might go down that rabbit hole, because that's actually. But why you got silent and when you were saying that was because I was counting letters, as you said. So I believe her name, at least to us, is Katy, Katy. but the common spelling of Katie is Katie, which the fifth letter is E, and the second letter of Perry is E. So that goes back to the EE theory, or the double E. So I was noticing that when he was
Yeah.
talking,
Oh yeah,
that's
your
why.
eyes got all big, like holy shit, this could be so true. I'm like, oh my god, dude.
But that is crazy. I'm going to have to look that up.
This is how
Okay.
conspiracy theories stay alive. You're over here like, hang on, alphabetically. It's
All right. So this is another one that I guess I can say I believe more of. Again, I'm not saying I believe it. I actually suffered from this recently at work, and you were a witness to it. It's the Mandela effect. So for those who don't know what the Mandela effect is, it's a social phenomenon when a group of people misremember a common detail about a person, place, or event. The term was coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broom. I guess that's how you say her name. I'm really bad at saying names. After she discovered that she and others had a false memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything about Nelson Mandela, just I've seen him and I know about the Mandela effect. So I can't say anything to the dying in prison thing.
As many people that remember him dying, I remember him being released. So
See, I have no recollection of any of that. But the whole thing is, there's a lot of different things that people, as they so put it elegantly, misremember.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of them here that I'm going to ask you which one you think it is, just to see what you say. But
Okay.
before I do that, I'm going to say what the one was that I misremember. You remember what I'm talking about? We were talking.
Vaguely.
We were talking about the Punisher movies.
Oh
And
yes,
I
yes.
Vividly fucking
Yes.
remember that the 92 or whatever year it was, a long time ago, or not a long time, the 90s movie Punisher, John Travolta was the Punisher. I remember the cover of John Travolta,
He's never played Punisher.
and on his shirt is the Punisher emblem. I remember this cover so fucking vividly, and I will die on that hill. So we were talking about this, and everyone at work was telling me I'm an idiot and I'm wrong, it never happened. But then you or Steve, I think it was Steven,
Yeah.
brought up there's a Jet Li movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember which the one
Mm-hmm.
where he is walking past a cinema or something, and there is a movie poster
With John Travolta as the Punisher.
with John Travolta as the Punisher.
But the odd part about that is, did you say you hadn't seen the one?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I've seen so many things. I
And
don't remember.
Just for context, the one is a movie starring Jet Li where he goes through multiple timelines, killing all of his alternate selves. And every time he does, he gets more powerful. So the whole premise is, and I think this movie came out right about the time the Tom Jane movie of Punisher was about to come out. It came out, I believe, prior to it. And during these timelines, because John Travolta does play the villain in the Tom Jane version of Punisher. So in the alternate timeline, I think it had John Travolta as the Punisher versus him playing the villain in the movie that we have, so to speak.
So there is a slight chance that I remember
You remember a whole
that-
different movie.
that scene from a whole different movie.
Does that really-
specific poster of John Travolta. I'm serious, dude. I will die.
Does
on
that
this
really
hill.
fall under the Mandela effect? Or does that
that's
just
what
fall under like a very quick clip
Hold
of
on.
a film that seared itself into your brain?
That's what I'm getting at, though. So it's one of two things. It's either the Mandela effect is fucking real and there's alternate realities and we're getting glimpses of alternate realities throughout. Or it's things like me, because I know, sure enough that I know that my fucking dick curves to the left, I know that John Travolta was in the movie Punisher. I can vividly see the Punisher fucking movie cover. So it's either Mandela effect's real or things such as me watching another movie, that little glimpse of this poster in that movie, and then I, over time, just connected it as that was what really happened. I can't explain it, but that's the only two explanations I have for it. Because I'm serious, I will die on that hill that I remember that John Travolta, but no one else does. So it's just me. But okay, so
I'm going to be honest. I can die on the same hill of saying I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing which direction your dick curves. I'm just. I will die on that hill happily. I could have went the rest of my life.
A little bit to the left. All right, so Captain Crunch.
Erica, my darkest conveniences. I don't know. I don't think I should know these facts.
Captain Crunch versus Captain Crunch. So Captain spelled out, Crunch. I guess Crunch is with a K or is it with a C? That part's not in here. It's just
Crunch, I
literally-
believe, was always with a C.
Okay,
now,
so
here's the thing. I think that logo has changed over the years.
What do you remember it being?
I remember it being Captain, completely spelled out.
Completely spelled out?
Yes, not cap apostrophe N.
Well, that's supposedly what it's always been.
Really?
It has always been cap
But
apostrophe N.
for the most part, I can also, in my defense, I think I only ate it like 2 or 3 times growing up as a kid. Like, we never really got them. I mean, I got a lot of the off-brand shit,
Yeah.
you know. I got Happy O's instead of Cheerios and shit. And it's like, you know,
But you probably still at least seen it.
yeah, I've seen it a couple times in the store. I always thought it was Captain spelled out, but apparently it's been it's
It's
really
always been cap
So,
apostrophe N.
I remember I didn't like the cereal. That shit would just cut the fucking roof out of your mouth in a heartbeat.
And here's another brand. A lot of these will do with brands and movies also. That's really
Yeah.
weird. But Jiffy versus Jif. So Jiffy peanut butter or Jif peanut butter. Which one do you remember?
Just Jif.
You remember Jif?
Yeah.
Okay. I do remember Jiffy. Apparently it never existed. However,
Because it was always the 3 big letters on the front of it. And
I want it noted that my computer, because I typed all this out, my computer auto-corrected Jif to Jiffy.
yeah.
Like I type in Jif and I hit space and it changed
So-
to Jiffy. So the computer knows something too.
I remember, I think the I was always red, but there was like 3 colors of it was just JIF, and it was like in like a big block letters on the front. And yeah, because my mom always got Jif peanut butter, and that was one thing like we never really got a lot of off-brand on. We always got the name brand of peanut butter, and it was always, you know, as a kid, I always wanted Peter Pan peanut butter for some reason, but you know, whatever.
I remember Jiffy. I don't know. I guess there is a Skippy or something peanut butter.
There is a Skippy
But
peanut butter, yes.
Maybe that's the confusion there. I
And
don't know.
It could be.
Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes. One is spelled Toons and the other is spelled Tunes. Which one do you remember?
See, this is a very, because this actually bleeds over into the original Space Jam. So I know this from a historical standpoint, which is
Okay.
going to skew my answer, but it's Tunes.
Okay.
And the reason is because the original, before it became Looney Tunes, it was called Merrily Melodies, I believe, was the
Oh, wow.
original cartoons when they first started making them. It was Merrily Melodies. And it was always usually singing in them or something like that, which is why the throwback comes to the original Space Jam where it says Toon Squad. It's Tunes Squad, not Toons. And because and the reason I think people misremember that is because it was always called cartoons, and tunes was
Yeah.
always Toons.
Yeah.
But that one's unfair because I know the history of that versus,
Yeah.
and so my memory kind of blocks out. I know what that's supposed to be. But yes, that is. I know a lot of people who think that's not what it was.
I never paid attention, to be honest, but I did automatically assume it was Tunes,
Mhm.
and I have a feeling it was probably just because of cartoons.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Once again, the useless fucking knowledge that sticks in my head.
I think both of us have said on a previous podcast that we're not Star Wars fans, so this may not even, you may not even know, but the infamous line from Star Wars, "No, I am not your father, Luke, no, I am your father, Luke, I am your father." Is it no or is it Luke?
It's actually no. It's not Luke.
Do you remember it as no or do you remember it as Luke though?
I do not. I
Okay.
remember it as Luke because it's been misquoted so many times. And I had to go back and rewatch the movie to actually figure it out for myself. But I am in the boat. I literally thought it was Luke, I am your father, because I had heard it stated that way so many times. I automatically just assumed that was the line from the film. And then when I went back and rewatched, I'm like, oh yeah, he doesn't say Luke. He just says, no, I'm your father.
That started somewhere, though.
And
Someone heard it as Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, but did they hear it that way, or was it, like back then when people went and watched this movie, they were like, and then Luke was hanging on the side, and he was like, Luke, I'm not your father, or I'm your father, Was that like just the retelling, and people were like, oh, that's so cool, I don't know. Like, yeah, you're right. It started somewhere, but where? I don't.
Berenstain Bears, Berenstein Bears. So Stein or Stain.
I always remember Stein or IEN.
As do I, but
And
apparently
it's wrong,
always
right?
been Berenstain Bears.
Bernstein Bears. Huh?
Bernstein Bear, whatever. Curious George with a tail versus without a tail.
He never had a tail.
You recall him never having a tail?
Yes, I always thought it was weird growing up in the books. That he
Okay,
didn't
see,
have a tail.
that's if you can say, yeah, I thought it was weird.
He's a monkey, but he doesn't have a tail.
See,
and I remember even as a kid going, he doesn't have a tail. I don't understand. Like, yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
yeah.
Most-
even when they did it in the
That's correct,
animated
by the way.
format on PBS, he didn't have a tail. And I always thought it was weird.
I can't recall what I thought, but I feel like I would have assumed he had a tail because he's a monkey. Febreze, spelled with two E's or one. So Febreeze or Febreze. Did you?
I never paid attention, to be honest. I would assume one.
Okay, see, I'm on the opposite. I would assume two. It is one. I would have assumed two. Febreze, like that's just kind of what I always thought, but I
Yeah.
never paid attention, so I can't really.
Yeah, that one I can't really
Okay.
say yes or no.
There's a song about this one. Oscar Mayer, Oscar Mayer. Is it Meyer or Mayer?
I remember an E, not the A.
Okay.
But
You know how the song goes?
yeah, I wish it was an Oscar Mayer Wiener or whatever, the kids song.
Does it not spell it out? I thought it spelled it out. I can't remember it. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't think it does.
Okay, I thought it spelled it out, so that's why I brought the whole song aspect up.
Okay, the baloney version, I think it did.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, because I think it was my baloney has a first name, it's Oscar. My baloney has a second name, is it Meyer or Mayer?
We'll see. Okay, so you started this off saying
It would
was
fit either way, but like as a kid,
Mayer.
see, here's the thing: is as a kid, when we got named, because my dad was the only one that worked, and there were 7 of us kids, so we weren't always eating like top name brand stuff. There was a lot of off brand stuff we got, and we shopped at other places. So when certain name brand things would come into the house because they were on sale or something, I always kind of took notice of that a little bit more. But I wanted to say I remember Meyer, but I could be wrong.
It was Meyer, but I remember it MA. That's another one that I thought it was MA, but I mean that was years ago because I don't eat that shit. It's gross. All right,
Now he only eats Nathan's hot dogs. Damn it!
this is another quote from a movie, Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates, or life was like a box of chocolates.
Life is.
Life is? That is correct or incorrect. It's life was. If you go back and watch the movie now,
Really?
it says life was like, but I swear it said is when it first came out.
Could have swear to God it was Mama said life is like a
Life-
box of chocolates.
life
You never
is-
know what you're gonna get. Like
It was.
so life was like a box of chocolates. Life was.
He's talking about the past, so it makes sense.
So yeah,
But
because
it's
his mom
really
passed
weird.
away, right?
Yeah.
So he would be referring in the past tense to a degree.
But he's also saying, Mama always said.
Mama always said, like, yeah.
So why would she say that it was like a box of chocolates rather than it is? So that's one of
Well,
those.
I mean, in his defense, he wasn't like the most mentally sound person. And you know the weird part about that movie? Did he ever get AIDS?
I don't think so.
Because he fucked Jenny.
Janae
She had it. I'm just saying, like,
could have used a condom.
he had a kid.
Might have been after she had AIDS.
Or before? I don't know. Anyway.
That's what I meant. All right. So another movie quote. We got 2 more here. Sorry, 3 more. 2 more. 3 more.
Oh, gee, okay.
Mirror, mirror on the wall versus magic mirror on the wall.
It's magic mirror on the wall. And this is because this was one of the few Disney films growing up before we got up until about 3 or 4 years into the cult that we still were allowed to watch. And
That's a weird one to be allowed to watch.
yeah, there was before it all turned into films approved by them and other Christian films. But it was one of those few when we did get to watch movies. Some of my younger brothers and sisters, this is what they always wanted to watch. So at one point, we could recite this damn thing by heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was Magic Mirror on the Wall, which I realize also spurns from most people remember Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. But that's just one of those because I'd seen the film so many times. But here's the funny part. Having not seen it so many times and hearing people reference it between the time we quit watching it and the time my kids watched it,
yeah.
I had thought it was Mirror, Mirror on the Wall because I just heard, and then when it played, I'm like, yeah, it was never that. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird how it plays on your mind when you hear it a certain way so many times.
That's a movie I never watched. I don't think I've watched it to this day, and if I have, I definitely watched it in its entirety.
You're not missing a whole lot. So.
So I can't say one way or the other, but I did always think it was Mirror, Mirror because everybody said that. But just reading it, it makes more sense to say Magic Mirror. So like, why would you say mirror twice? So I don't know. Another movie quote. This is another one I swear I remember one way, but Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter. Hello, Clarice. Or does he just say, good morning?
And see, I'm probably going to get this wrong. I remember hello, but...
As do I.
Are we talking about the original greeting?
Yeah.
Because there was like 5 or 6 greetings.
Yes.
She visited him 5 or 6 times throughout that film.
Supposedly.
And I thought there was a greeting every time.
Throughout all of them, any time where they were on screen together, he never says, hello, Clarice. But that is as infamous to me as say hello to my little friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah, that's like one of the between the greeting that people remember long, as far as iconic lines from that, between that greeting and the statement of "Do you still hear the lamb screaming?" Those are kind of like 2 iconic like hits in that film, and I remember seeing that film several times. It was
supposedly all he says is good morning.
Just good morning?
Just good morning.
He doesn't use her name?
From what I said, I need to rewatch it to give you a definite, but
I'm going to have to
from what I looked
I'm
up,
going to have to go back and rewatch that.
It said good morning.
Huh.
Yeah. All right, and then the last one, and I'm bringing this one up specifically. If you, again, remember a few months ago, you'll get a little chuckle out of this. I saw him dancing there by the record machine versus I saw him standing there by the record machine. I deleted the actual answer. Shit. Okay, we'll never know what this one actually is. But do you know why I brought this one up?
Well, because you had no idea who Joan Jett
Okay,
and
yes.
Blackhearts were.
I have no idea who Joan Jett was.
Oh my God, dude.
And they lost it. But okay, so Joan Jett said, I saw him dancing there by the record machine, or I saw him standing there by the record machine. And I deleted the fucking answer, so I don't know what the real one is. You're going to look it up? Which one do you think it is, though?
I always thought it was dancing.
Okay. I have no idea. I'm perfectly honest, no fucking clue. It's kind of weird just to be standing by the record machine. But then again, why are you dancing so close to it? There's a whole floor to dance on.
So, by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, I saw him dancing there by the record machine.
So,
knew he must have been about 17.
So other people apparently believe thought it was, I saw him standing there.
I always thought it was, I remember it as dancing, not standing, but songs are so weird, man. There's misheard lyrics all the time.
Dude, I had a best friend that swore up and down it was Don't Go Jason Waterfalls. TLC's Don't Go Chasing Water. He would fight me saying, no, it's not, until I finally bought the album, took out the booklet, which you can't do that any fucking more, and the lyrics were in there, and it said, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls. And I'm like, look at this. It's right there, fucker. All right.
Well, that was special.
We ran long today. We
shit.
definitely ran long, so hopefully everybody is still listening and enjoyed that. Lauren, especially, this one was for you. We are not going to do anything that requires that much research again, because I had a hell of a week and I didn't have time to do any of the research until right before I got here. And then on top of that, I was reading stuff and stumbling, and I don't feel like we had the best
It's
podcast
like
that
a
we have.
college exam cram session after a
It
fucking
pretty much
Jaeger.
was. So that one is going to be the last one that we're going to do. It's research. It's just going to be like opinions from here on out, so we don't have to have any research. I'm sure we'll do another one, but just have to plan it a little better. But hopefully y'all enjoyed our top 10 conspiracies, and hopefully you research some on your own, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, it may spark someone to go down a rabbit hole and just see some of this shit. So who knows?
I'm definitely looking into the Katy Perry thing, and then there was another one that you said that I'm going to be.
Oh,
checking out.
Germany and Japan actually won World War II.
Yeah. I love conspiracy theories. So don't know what don't what I believe. Maybe that's why I like them so much. I don't know. So peace.
All right, folks, so until next time, I'm Matthew,
I'm Nathan.
and we're here reminding you to be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
So fucking inappropriate.